Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, and I'm joined yet again by my co-host Miguel Porter. Miguel, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a good weekend, just preparing for things. Tomorrow is a special day because our fellow Albany CrossFit Barbell Club team member, Renee Mahale, will be graduating from Yale Law School. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and it's a great weekend. Weather looks good.
Yeah. Is it supposed to be nice tomorrow during the ceremony and everything?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed if it was a little cool,
yeah,
because you're wearing like the khaki pants and the dress shirts and everything. A lot of people, I'm hoping there's good air conditioning in
right.
wherever they're hosting it. So it's Yale, so I imagine it's going to be really nice. I've never been to Yale or Harvard or any of these other big universities. Have you ever been to one of those?
Not for too long. Uh, but yeah, usually the facilities that they use are pretty tip top.
Very cool. Very cool. I was reading the rules and like the things that you can and can't bring in. And I just want to know when the first time someone brought one of those items was. Like it said, don't bring your own personal speakers. So it's like I'm just wondering what the situation was where someone brought speakers. Were they playing their own music? Were they broadcasting the feed somehow? I just want to know the story behind how all this stuff came to be in the rules on what not to do.
Right. Yeah, you never know. People love to go all out when they're cheering for their people. So,
Yeah. It's like they said no blowhorns because
right.
someone would have had that like "Bow, bow, bow, bow," that
Yeah,
that one. No signs that are of a certain height, no objects that are more than 12 by 12 by 12. So I guess that could constitute a boom box or something
yeah,
like that. So I'm hoping to see some stuff like that because that's part of the excitement,
yeah,
like it'll be a nice ceremony, but I want to see people go all out, like I see graduation videos online and people are cheering hard, so which I don't know, is there assigned seating?
I don't believe so.
Mhm.
But since it's ticketed, I don't think that that should be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we got to figure out a way to sit together. I guess this would constitute a sign, so I probably shouldn't bring this in there, right? To hold
right.
hold it up. All right, they got me, and it's documented here in the podcast. Anyways, congratulations to Renee, and congratulations to Tanzira and Haley. This weekend they took the USAW Level One coaching course, and everything went well. So they're now USAW Level One coaches. That's exciting.
Oh, did that finish today?
Yeah, actually, Tanzira messaged me at 1. Like they got done like really early, probably because it was nice outside. The instructor's like, "You guys want to get out of here?" So, so that's cool. Do you remember when you took your level one?
Was that 3 years ago now?
I
I
think
think it was
so.
when the Olympics were going on.
2021 then, right?
Yeah,
Because then you did your level two in 2022,
yeah,
and then last year we had an off year of no coaching courses.
yeah,
So yeah, that's cool. I look forward to hearing the feedback from them. It looks like the coaching course changed pretty dramatically again from when you took it, just looking at the modules. And
interesting.
you could probably see that too. I was surprised. Anyone who's listening, if you're a USCW level one and level two coach, you can go into the Learning Academy on the bar's website and you get to see the updated course. Because when I went in there, it said 2024, and I was clicking through the modules, and then Haley and I were looking at it and commenting on one of the modules is coaching the Gen Z athlete, which we thought was kind of funny that there's a specific module for that. So I want to I want to read about that one, and I wonder if they talked at the course about coaching the Gen Z athlete. And I also want to know, why is a Gen Z athlete so important? Like, what about the other gens?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's I think there's like a larger emergence of working out in physical activity kind of in that age group.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a different kind than earlier generations probably experienced with social media, and weightlifting is becoming a bigger thing now instead of people just doing, cardio and looking for abs. People are like really lifting weights. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, Gen Z is 1997, I think. If you were born in 1997 or slightly after, I think you're Gen Z. So I think we were joking around. I think Shaf is Gen Z. What year were you born?
See, I would technically also be, but those like I think 96 through like 98 are always the like blurred years.
Mid, kind of middle.
And it's always different too. I talk about this with people. All of my siblings really are older than me. I have one younger sibling, but I grew up with all of my older siblings, so I feel like that moves me closer to the older generation because of everything that I had experienced from them. Whereas if I was like the firstborn, it would be, a couple years before I was able to absorb anything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're saying you're an old soul. Has anyone ever said that to you before?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I people some it was on my senior trip of all things. The bus driver, one of the bus drivers, was like James, you're an old soul, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, But I guess I'm an old soul too. But I grew up with older parents, who were you know kids and teenagers during the 40s, and 50s, and grew up with all that music during the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, um, and the 90s. So I don't know. I don't know if that specifically is what makes you an old soul. I should Google it after and find out. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's a topic for another day. Our main topic is Memorial Day Murph. This is something that's on the minds of everybody. If you're in a CrossFit gym around the world, more than likely you are thinking about doing Memorial Day Murph, which is a big hero workout that CrossFits all over the place do on Memorial Day. It has a special connection to Albany CrossFit and really to anybody. This is a fan favorite, I would say, right, Miguel?
definitely. Um, I think within CrossFit, because we only kind of get to do it once, it may not get programmed as much as maybe a different hero workout, like something like DT or something like that. But I
Yeah,
think outside of the CrossFit community, it's the most known workout. Like I have coworkers and friends who know Memorial Day Murph, but don't
yeah.
know anything else really about CrossFit. So,
Do you think it's good that way? I mean, I remember in over the years past, Murph might come up over the summer randomly, because it's still a CrossFit workout, just like how Fran could still pop up any day of the week, any time during the year. Do you think it's good to have some workouts that's like, no, that's their special place on the calendar and they don't really pop up other times? Or do you think it should still have its high reverence on that day that is its day, but you can still do it like in the fall, October, and it's just a part of the regular programming? What do you think about that?
right. And I think we'll probably get more into it, but I think it should probably pop up more. It gives people a more realistic view of what that workout is supposed to be, I think. When we only get to do it on Memorial Day, I think people really want to do it a certain way, and it's not capped by just class time. They have really
The whole day.
the whole day to complete it. But if you spread it out throughout the year, people really know, okay, I'm gonna have to scale it this way. I don't have a month lead up where I'm only doing rounds of Cindy to prepare for this. Um, and maybe that makes you overall prepared better when it comes around for Memorial Day because you have a realistic view and you're not just going for it every time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it should pop up more often, just like Fran should pop up more often. They shouldn't be like saved. Really, the only workout that you could like save is the 12 days of Christmas because it's just why would you do,
Right.
like the Christmas workout in July, although hey, Christmas in July, if you want to have a 6 month, retry. But I think once it gets put on this pedestal, it starts to become this like holy goal that you have to specifically train for. but it's still a CrossFit workout. It's like you don't really have to train for Murph. You can just do Murph. You can just do CrossFit the way you would. I think once it starts to become an event, that's when people start to view it differently. And also, like my fear would be that it starts to take away from the meaning of the workout. Like, why are we doing the workout? And then it's more about your performance, Miguel, and what you're doing versus why you're doing it, and the deeper meaning behind it. And also on Memorial Day. I just always get nervous and worried about, people focusing too much on their own personal goal with it versus like every time I've ever done Murph, like I'm doing this really hard thing because someone before me did something way harder so that
Right.
I have the ability to do this in an air conditioned gym with music and stuff like that, which I mean we'll talk more about that here soon, but I guess that's my mindset on it. I think we're along the same in that regard.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the workout. Got it here. 4 time a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and a 1 mile run. Wear a 20-pound weight vest. So that's a lot. The reason that we're doing that workout, we're going to break it down here more soon, is to honor the memory of this man, Lieutenant Michael Murphy. So he was a Navy lieutenant, and he was 29 years old when he was killed in action in Afghanistan on June 28th, 2005. And he was from Pachoke, New York. And I actually looked it up again today because I always forget. Pachoke, if I'm even saying that correctly, is in Long Island. I was like, where in New York is that? And I popped it into the MapQuest there. And it's about 3 hours and 40 minutes away from us. So there's a great story behind, Murph's sacrifice, and we're going to get into that. But Hero WODs in general, these are workouts that bring us a little more pause. We're doing them to honor the memory of a fallen serviceman or servicewoman who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. And that workout is going to be something overly hard than the average CrossFit workout. And these hero workouts can be hard in different ways. It might involve a long time domain. So there's some hero workouts that are going to take a couple hours. If we think of Clovis, they just take a very long time. It might be something that has weights that are really, really heavy, like much heavier than you would see in the normal workout, where we're seeing 95, 65, 135, 95, even 225, 155. These workouts sometimes have weights that are 300 plus pounds, 400 pounds. They might have weighted gymnastics with heavy weights. They might have high skill gymnastics, such as strict muscle ups or uh, legless rope climbs or deficit handstand push-ups. The repetitions might also be very, very high, which this is a high repetition workout that also happens to involve 2 miles of running. So you're going to see a lot of different challenges in these hero workouts that might not be seen in the average bear CrossFit workout. And that's because we're doing something that's extra hard. We're going to grind. A lot of them are grindier types of workouts where you're just kind of suffering in the pain. And again, maybe even during that workout, giving some pause as to what you're going through. And then you might realize that the reason you're doing this is because it's to honor someone who went through something way harder, and you can keep pushing. And because of that, you can keep pushing. You're like, you know what? I want to start walking on this 1 mile run. I'm going to keep running because, this isn't as hard as what Murph went through. So though that's what a hero workout is. Um, there are unfortunately too many of them out there, and you'll see them also for EMTs and police and other groups like that. But any thoughts overall, Miguel, on hero workouts and how you view them and your experiences with them in general?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. It's kind of the it's kind of how I was introduced to them as well when I started CrossFit, as these workouts are a lot tougher than your average everyday workout. And part of it is kind of pushing through to give kind of the respect deserved to who we're honoring. So these aren't easy workouts that we're just breezing through. We did actually in class Havana yesterday, and it was the same idea. Um, Pretty high volume and also power cleans at 185 pounds for men, which is a pretty heavy power clean. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what I told the class yesterday as well, where this is tough and we're trying to honor a person here, and that's what these workouts are really about. So maybe this is the time that you kind of go for it a little bit more, whether in your speed that you're going through, the intensity that you're giving, or, scaling yourself up a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a time to step outside the comfort zone. And this is a workout where historically, if it's raining outside, we're gonna do it in the rain. There's times where we do that in regular classes, but on this one, we've had people outside on the rig. I remember one year, I think you were there, Chris Diso. He was outside doing, his air squats, push-ups, and stuff with others out in the rain. It doesn't matter. It's like you're just getting it done. And maybe even just experiencing the elements is one way that you would normally get out of your comfort zone where it's hot and you're like, I want to stay inside and I'll be on my rower or bike. Well, today maybe you should just do a shorter distance and run in the rain if it does rain on Memorial Day, which I hope it doesn't. If we have weather like today on Memorial Day, it'll be good.
Yeah. I think that was my first year when it rained. It was the first time I ever did Murph. It was pouring, actually. I
Trying to remember the year of that. Was that
think
2017?
2017. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's been a bit. We've actually been really lucky that we've not had rain uh since then
Yeah.
on Memorial Day. We've been really lucky. Oh, now I'm jinxing it right
Right.
now. I shouldn't have said it. But so that's those are Hero WODs. That's Murph. Now our gym has a close connection to this workout. Were you familiar with our history with this workout, or maybe not in the beginning, but did you eventually learn our connection to Murph?
I believe so. Did we do, I think we talked about it one year where we signed up for the challenge specifically for our gym as
Mm.
well. I think maybe that was the first time that I heard of it.
That might have been 2018, 2019 when we started getting involved in those challenges. And then unfortunately 2020, was like a
Right.
weird year. It was semi in the gym, semi online. But just to kind of go through the timeline a little bit, you know, June 28th, 2005, Lieutenant Michael Murphy loses his life. He's killed in action. On July 2nd, 2005, a man named Josh Appel led a pararescue team to Afghanistan to rescue the lone survivor, or Marcus Luttrell. And that's a well-known name these days because he wrote a book called The Lone Survivor, and there's also a movie that came out. And if you've never seen that movie, I definitely recommend it. Mark Wahlberg is in there, and I believe he's playing Marcus Luttrell. I'm not sure who's playing Murph specifically, but it's a good movie, and it kind of like puts your brain into like that's what happened. So they rescued Marcus Luttrell, and then on July 4th, Josh Appel went back to with a team to recover the bodies, and bring them back home. CrossFit posted the Murph workout on .com, CrossFit.com, on the blog there in August of 2005. So this all happened within, that summer very, very quickly. And Michael Murphy used to do this workout. He called it body armor, and it was one of his favorite things to do. So they learned that, and then I'm sure Dave Castro, I might have even known him, or he's close to the Navy SEAL community. So he learned that, and they posted it up onto .com. And Josh Appel, when the year later, he saw that they were posting this workout online, he started to do it on Memorial Day. So he did it on his own in 2006. And then in 2007, he was a member of Albany CrossFit, and he spoke to the team at the time. Jason Ackerman was the owner back then, and convinced, them to do Murph on Memorial Day. And ever since then, it's been a tradition in our gym to do that workout on Memorial Day. And we've never missed a year since 2007. And it's was first posted in 2005, and then he did it solo 2006, and then here we are. So it's it's crazy how small the world is, right? Not only just in general, but in CrossFit, that like this all happened, and like, oh yeah, we did the workout because he wanted us to do the workout. And he also started an online fundraiser to raise funds for the Lieutenant Michael Murphy Foundation. He got in contact with Murphy's dad, and they got that going. And I'm not 100% sure if they're affiliated with the Murph Challenge that's out there now, or if that's its own thing. I know there is that Murph Challenge, and there's a leaderboard and everything. I'm not too well versed on that part of the history, but I just know where it came to Albany CrossFit.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I don't think many people even realize how big of a part our gym plays in it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and we continue to honor the man for this day. So that's the workout, and that's why we're doing it, and a little bit of the history behind it. Let's rewind a little bit. We were briefly talking about training for Murph. So it's really a last couple year kind of thing where programming sites all over the place, whether it be CompTrain or CrossFit affiliate programming, CAP, and these other places start to specifically program, hey, we're going to do a cycle leading up to Murph where you're going to see more push-ups, pull-ups, and air squats. You're going to see more running and different variations. You're going to do Cindy to prepare for Murph. Um, what what did you say? Maybe you didn't even answer when we were mentioning before, but where do you stand on training for Murph versus just training CrossFit and doing Murph?
Right. I think if you are a regular class member doing CrossFit classes often, that you do not necessarily need specific training for Murph. I think there's also a turn in what we're able to do within CrossFit programming, just as the weather changes, honestly. You're able to get more of those runs outside and start to build that type of endurance again, and maybe more body weight things as we again are able to do some workouts outside. So I don't believe as a regular CrossFit member that you need specific training for Murph. Looking at it from the past couple of years though, as almost a specifically only barbell club member, it is helpful to kind of hop into a few workouts that are a little bit more tailored towards Murph, just because that's not necessarily something that I have ready to go at all times. Um, I don't want Murph to be my first run of the year, or
Yeah.
just all those. The volume is just something that I wouldn't have been too comfortable with. Um, so in that case, I would say perhaps you can do a few things to kind of get yourself there. But I do think that within the basic CrossFit training program, that you don't necessarily have to tailor anything towards a regular class member.
Yeah, I would agree. Uh, uh, it's like, but it's like a splintered agree, because I think like you could, if you just do CrossFit year round and you're very consistent, then you could just do that workout like it just if it popped up on Monday, if it popped up on April 29th and that was the workout, whatever day that was, everybody would come in, they would do the workout, it'd be fine. We would scale it. I think that because it's on Memorial Day, people are less likely to scale it, or when the groups are so big, kind of get lost in the shuffle and do their own thing. So there's like a little bit of a risk there. I do agree that Murph should not be your first run of the season. And it's hard because, if there's the time of year, we're in New York, upstate New York, really, we were able to get out there early April, which was nice. Most people don't think we're getting out there in March unless they really love running. but we were able to start taking classes outside in April. So that's not really a lot of time spent out there, even with like this Murph specific, guided programming. And also just experiencing those longer workouts, those longer time domains, which coming right out of open season is tough because those workouts, especially the ones that are programmed to prepare for that event, are typically really short. We're
Right.
seeing like 8-minute time domains, and people are getting really good at sprinting, but they're, even though they're fit, an hour workout is a lot to ask, to keep going. And then who knows what your nutrition, hydration, all that stuff's looking like. So I think if it was just a pop up, it would be okay. I understand why it's good to get a little bit of miles under your belt, especially for the new people. And what I like overall with it is doing things like a Cindy or a Jerry, where we're going to do a 1 mile run, 2K row, 1 mile run, and be like, hey, how was that second 1 mile run? Are you ready to do that in a month after doing 300 air squats? Like just to give people perspective and an idea of what that will be and
Right.
how they should modify and scale, I think is valuable. And just with training for endurance events as well, Lewis Vidal, former member of the gym, good friend of ours. We know Lewis. We love Lewis. He ran an Ironman just doing CrossFit training. Not everyone's Lewis though. Like that's, like you have the like Lewis is like on the outlier, tier over here. He can like do anything, and he's like super fit. So it can be done, but I think it just all comes down to good coaching guidance and all that stuff.
And there's even, we'll get into it as well, going into wearing a vest during Murph. If you're a person who has one, the weeks leading up, or hopefully you've got some practice with putting that on and your preference with how tight or how loose you want that on while you do the run itself and all of those body weight movements as well. Just getting an overall feel. It doesn't have to be like specific. I'm gonna do a mini Murph to get ready for it, but if we have a workout where we're running and you want to put on your vest just to get a feel for what you like and how you like that position also helps.
We have had people who a week before Murph did a test Murph by doing Murph, and it's like you didn't have to do that.
Right.
That was a little much, and then hopefully you don't tear your hands now to doing all these pull-ups. Yeah, the vest thing is a tough thing, because sometimes it's like an ego thing on like, well, I see everyone suiting up and like people strut around like this, and there's like everyone feels cool that they're wearing the vest, and then like and then you gotta tell them you gotta take that vest off. Like you're this far away from chin over the bar. You can't do push-ups anymore, and then they have to take that off. And maybe they should have ran with the vest and then did the meat and potatoes of the workout without it, and then run again with the vest. I think having standards for the vest is good. And like you said, preparing in advance. How does the wearing the vest affect your breathing? How does tight or loose, like you said, is it going to chafe or be uncomfortable on the run, and then you're fighting with it the whole time, and that's kind of even just mentally exhausting you. How is it going to change your movement on things like push-ups? Push-ups is the biggest thing I see people fall apart on. Is they've got great push-ups, that vest comes on and they just can't control it at all.
Right.
And then I think it leads to a higher instance of possibly tearing your calluses too on the pull-ups. It's hot, it's sweaty, you're using extra chalk, you got another 20 pounds on your body. Your pull-ups were all right to begin with, and now we're really pushing it here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say for a vest, our typical standard is if you're going to use the vest, you should be able to do 25 pull-ups in a row. That could be kipping or strict. Do you think that's a fair standard?
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. Um, if that's the only measure, I would say I kind of built up to the vest after a couple years of doing Murph without the vest. And yeah, I think if you use pull-ups as kind of a tester, that you'll get a good idea of what the athlete is capable of overall. But if you have previous Murph times, I would say if you're doing without the vest Murph and it takes you 45 minutes or longer, that you should work on getting that time down a little bit more before adding on the vest, because that vest is gonna add in a lot of time for you. So I would say if you have previous Murph times that you can use and you kind of have a good gauge of where your fitness is compared to that previous year, that I would use that as a tester to see if the vest really is for you.
Yeah. So experience helps a lot, you know. If it's your first Smurf, yeah, it's so easy to put it on. And that's part of it. You know, it's so easy to put it on and feel good about it. And I feel like sometimes people look at running on like, okay, I just got to keep moving. And even if I walk, I can accomplish that. No big deal. Even though you're trying to get it done in a specific amount of time. There's like these parts of classes where people kind of like make concessions with themselves on like, oh, all I got to do is move, doesn't matter how, and I can accomplish that goal. Versus if the RX weight is a 405 deadlift, you're kind of just limited. You're like, I just clearly won't be able to budge that, and I'm not strong enough to do it. But a run, you know, you'll see people in classes be like, well, I can do that, and I'm okay with it taking longer than what is desired. And adding a vest to that equation is super easy because you pop it on, you tighten it up, and then now you're off to the races. And then you maybe your run goes from being 10 minutes to 16 minutes, and now you're a little behind in the workout, and then the wheels will come off really quickly right in the beginning for the pull-ups, push-ups, and air
Yeah.
squats. No matter how you petition them, you'll know right away that the vest was a mistake. Um, has there been an instance in the past where you wore the vest and you were thinking to yourself, I should probably take it off, but you didn't take it off because no one told you to take it off? Or has there been any rough experiences with the vest?
I think the last time I wore the vest for the entirety of the workout was 2 years ago. And that time, yeah, for sure. Because I think it was also tough because though you're moving slow again, like you said, you're moving the entire time. Um, but you're nearing 50 minutes and you're like, okay, I have 2 rounds left of, of the Cindy style, it it really won't make that much of a difference now if I take the vest off. Um, which is why I ended up switching. And the year after that, I think I only put on the vest for the last run.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't really plan on wearing it at all this upcoming year, just because I know that I'm not at a point now where I'll be moving as well to really constitute having the vest on.
I mean, is there a chance that like a Mike Mickery could possibly persuade you with a little bit of friendly encouragement, and then next thing you know, you're wearing the vest, and and can he lead you down that rabbit hole, or someone else?
Honestly, not this year. I think I'm very in tune with what I'm trying with, like what my goal is, I guess, CrossFit wise for this entire year, which is really allowing myself to take a step back. I think I've had it in my head that I'm physically able to do so many things, so I do them instead of really taking my time and building up good actual like capabilities and positioning and
Kind of like
things like
handstand
that.
push-ups right now, right?
Right. So that's why I'm doing the same thing with handstand push-ups and just overall getting inverted and kind of restarting that process. And maybe even like muscle ups will come up eventually, that I really restart that. And I think the same thing with Murph this year, where I'm kind of completely okay with scaling it this year, just because I know where I'm at and I know what I would like to accomplish with it. And I don't want to be sitting around at the push-ups for a very long time, which I know can happen to me and does happen to me.
it happened. Um, it's going to happen all over the place,
Yeah.
all over the world of people doing Memorial Day Murph. It's going to happen with people just getting bottlenecked on the push-ups. But scaling is not a crime. Like there's nothing wrong with scaling Murph. Do you think psychologically Murph should be a badge of honor type of workout where, even if you're let's say you're a new guy, you've been doing CrossFit 3 months, and you kind of get hyped up in the why we're doing Murph, so you equate that with I'm just going to grind it out however long how it takes and just finish it. Is Murph a workout where you should just badge of honor it? Yes, I finished it. It didn't matter. It took 3 hours. Or should it be still along the lines of no, we need to hit the stimulus, for the day. Plus, the coaching staff doesn't want to be here till 3 p.m. We're starting at 9 a.m. But so, like, do you understand what I'm saying by a badge of honor where people just want to finish it for the sake of finishing it, and they kind of get caught? Does that skew Murph being more towards about me versus about Michael Murphy if I'm doing that?
Right. I think, yeah, it's a mix where the way that we introduce these hero workouts, and as we were saying earlier, sometimes you tell a class, this is your time to kind of push yourself a little bit more and maybe go for something that you don't typically. And because of the movements specifically, they're all body weight. I mean, body weight even plus a vest, but they're movements that physically we are able to do. It's kind of like if we have an AMRAP and there's a heavy barbell movement that, maybe I can do a few reps at that weight, but that's very close to my max. But it's an AMRAP, so I know that I'm able to do this. So maybe this is my chance to kind of go up to that heavier weight because
It
at
will
the end of
end
it,
and
right,
everyone will finish at the same time. So even
exactly.
if the coach told you you want to get 7 rounds out of this workout in 15 minutes, there might be a concession there where, all right, Miguel's never tried 225 before. Let's go for it today with the understanding that you might get 3 rounds.
Right.
And we're sacrificing the stimulus of the rounds and the reps, and even honestly, the intensity for you to experience what it would be like to take this weight for a ride.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of fall into with this. They want to, whether, and for some people, they might have a military background, but maybe they're not at that point that they used to be where they were able to do that stuff. And they might have their weight vest already that's theirs. And maybe there's a feeling of handing it off to someone else and allowing them to do it while you don't wear one. It's it can definitely be tough, but I think, yeah,
Just
you have to
because you
ask
can doesn't
yourself,
always mean you should, just
right,
because you own a weight vest. And I think, you know, we're doing this to honor a hero. You don't have to be a hero, today. You're not really impressing anyone with it. I understand everyone has their own personal things, but you're not trying to be a hero. You're trying still to get a good workout and yes, step outside your comfort zone, but it also you shouldn't be hurt after Murph. And sometimes by putting the cart before the horse and doing things for the wrong reason, now, all right, you're injured and now you can't keep doing CrossFit or you have to take extended time off from the gym. I would say post Murph, everybody needs to come in on Tuesday. Like, why are you not coming in on Tuesday? You need to come in and move. It won't be another running and high bunch of gymnastics, but coming in on Tuesday will help you recover. And then I would come in on Wednesday too. If you're going to take a day off on Murph week, take Thursday off, but get those 2 days in of movement, scale those workouts, and I think people will be surprised by that. Again, I feel like Murph doesn't the workout itself doesn't need this to be this thing that encompasses your training life for months on end before the workout. And then It doesn't need to take away your whole week or even 2 weeks after it. I feel
Right.
like it's good. It would take more than a week if you hurt yourself and
Yeah.
something crazy happened. And hurting yourself goes beyond like also like just tearing your hands or hurting your joints and stuff. It could also be maybe you didn't hydrate enough or your electrolytes were off and you're tanked that way. God forbid anyone has rhabdomyolysis, like we don't want that. So these are all considerations and they just shouldn't be something that any of us have to take the risk to do. The if Murph, like it has in the past, pops up at the CrossFit Games and those people, they're passing out because it's super hot outside and all kinds of stuff. They're athletes in a sport taking risk. They're making money. They have sponsorship deals. James McDermott at Albany CrossFit doesn't have any sponsorship deals. So me just risking it all for no reason and not being able to train for a week or two. And then there's the psychological difficulty of returning to training after time off and after maybe I know it hurt me. Now I'm adverse to doing more push-ups or pull-ups. Like it could just be a whole storm, of
Yeah.
stuff. So I think if you just keep it in perspective why you're doing it and what you're trying to get out of it, it'll be okay. How about scaling, Miguel? How should we modify this? Let's go movement through movement.
Okay.
The runs, that's the biggie right off the bat. And that's even the thing that I feel could make someone not want to come in to do Murph is 2 miles of running. It's that's a daunting distance. So the way we would scale that first is the distance, right? Maybe
Yeah.
do 800, maybe do 1200 meters, 1000 meters. We're lucky enough to have a 200-meter loop, so we can customize it any way that we need. It could even be for time. Just, hey, you're going to run around the parking lot. I've got the stopwatch. When I see you at around the 8-minute mark, I'm going to tell you to go back in and do pull-ups and push-ups. And it doesn't matter how far you went. That's okay, right?
Yeah, I think honestly my favorite in this would be the time domain. Just give them a time to be done with their run, and as they come around again, it is better that we have the loop right in the parking lot, or even if you do the bigger 400 loop, as you come around, look at the time and have that determine when you stop and when you move on to the next movement.
Yeah. How about walking? I think walking's okay.
Yeah, I think again, if we follow the same idea of a time to give the athlete, I think it's great that we all start together as well.
Yeah.
So as we all line up and get ready for what's going on, to have someone, even if they're just walking, to start with everyone in the same line and we all go. Yeah, I think that's great.
And I that's a great thing that you bring up on starting together. That is one of the magical parts of the Murph workout, where everybody's huddled around the starting point for the run. And then there's just that mob of people that start running around the parking lot or even down Sand Creek Road. And you're a part of that. You're part of the group. No one's throwing elbows trying to sprint out there, and get ahead of everybody. Because one, you're not going to win Murph that way. And
Yeah,
but that is the community aspect of it. That's another reason why we're doing it. We're coming together on this special day for a community. And even if you just walked 8 minutes in the beginning, 8 minutes in the end, that's 16 minutes of walking plus everything else in between. That's a lot of work
yeah,
considering, most people have a desk job or, and one of the great things you can do for your health is just going out there and walk for 8 to 10 minutes. So there's no rule that says we can't start a workout that way. You can run walk, you can pick your points. I'll run 200, walk 200 and switch off, pick your points in the parking lot or whatever your course is. When I get to that mailbox, I run. When I get to the next one, I walk.
yeah.
There's a million things you can do with that, even if running seems daunting. And I'd really like to encourage people to do that this year. And then, of course, there are extenuating circumstances where we might need to pull out a rower or a bike. Pros and cons to both, right? The rower is grippy and we have pull-ups to do and ring rows to do. The bike, though, the bike just hits those
Yeah,
legs.
yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever done bike or rowing, Murph?
No, no, I don't think I would.
No, you're just gonna take that year off. You're like, I'm not gonna do those. I've done them both. I've done rowing Murph and I've done biking Murph, and they do hit differently. I will say I did not notice the a detriment to the air squats when I did it.
Hmm.
So that was the nice part about the bike. I don't mind biking. I know some people hate biking, but I also am someone who doesn't mind burpees, and people have an issue with that movement. When I feel like it's just like every other movement. Although I shouldn't say that because then if you bring wall balls into the chat here, I have a huge problem with wall balls. So, but I didn't notice a huge takeaway from the thighs or anything like that with the air squats, especially partitioning it. If I was going to go 300 straight, maybe there might be an
Hmm.
issue, but I imagine by the time I got there anyways, I would be jelly regardless,
Right.
you know. With the rower, I didn't notice too much of a detriment on the grip part of it, but that's because I consciously don't tighten my hands on the handle. So if you are going to row or bike, try to have a light touch to the handles so you are preserving your grip. And that's even if you're out there running. You know, don't clench your fist. Or if you're holding on to an iPod, you know, like sometimes I'll be on the phone for a while talking to people and you have your phone and you're like, "Whoa, like what's going on here?" after holding
Right.
onto the phone. The some maybe switch hands during the run, you know, at
Yeah.
certain
I
points.
typically switch hands fairly often.
Do you ever get one of those arm? Do they still make those a sleeve to put your phone in?
Yeah, I've never loved them. Um, yeah, I guess I haven't tried them with now wireless headphones. I think my issue before was having the wire kind of not
The
in
cords.
control. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't experimented with any of that technology in a while, but it is okay to bring your headphones and help you on the run. Although I encourage the just the experience of all the feet hitting the you know, the pavement and the breathing and maybe even talking to people. You know, like you might just chat with someone during your run. Like it should be fun. Like it doesn't have to be put your head down. The score matters at the end. Blah blah. You know, all that stuff. It's like just have fun with it. It's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So we can run, we can reduce the distances to anything. We can run for time. We can walk, do a combo of walking, running. We can bike. We can row. If you're gonna row, it's what is it, 1,600 meters on the rower. If you're gonna bike, I think it's 4,000, you know, for the mile, you know, 16 times 2.5, whatever that is. So, and then of course, with those other machines, we can still modify from there, right? Uh, Maybe for someone, a 4,000-meter bike is going to take longer than 10 minutes, which is what we're aiming for the cardio portions. Then maybe we just do 3,000 or we work for time still. Any answer is okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Now with the pull-ups, that's a biggie, the pull-ups. Ring rows, I think, are a great answer. And then we're lucky enough in our gym to have the adjustable bars to do those types of pull-ups. Any other ideas on pull-up scaling?
Yeah. Within those, I prefer the ring rows just because I'm thinking of the adjustable bar. And even with that, I feel like you would need to be careful to not use too much legs
Yeah,
and kind of double that up with the squats that come later as well.
that little toe push is spicy on the
Yeah.
quads. Yeah, I think those are great. Dumbbells, if someone needed dumbbells, do a bent over dumbbell row, you know, all the way up to 150 per side. Nothing wrong with that. Switch arms as needed. There are some scaling options that can be done with the box. I think generally I ask people not to do those on Memorial Day for the sole purpose of it's a zoo. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people, so getting a box in the mix now is a little tough. And sometimes we're sharing pull-up bars, which I think that's part of the fun too, is just, you know, you know, if you're on the pull-up bar and I get done with the air squats, I'm completely fine, Miguel, for you to finish your pull-up set while I take a second and then I'll go to the pull-up bar and you'll go off to the push-ups. It's not one of those workouts where you're in a mad dash to get there, you know. Any other thoughts on pull-ups?
Yeah. Before I remember during COVID actually, when really a lot of the workouts that I was doing were just body weight. I would do Cindy, like you said, with just dumbbells before I bought a pull-up bar.
Hmm.
I would just do bent over rows, double dumbbell bent over rows, and that, yeah, that works. The arms just as well, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, I was saying single arm, but yeah, you could easily do double,
Yeah.
double dumbbell. Keep it light, it doesn't something, it should be something where you could at least do 5 to 10 on one arm before switching to the other arm. If you're going to break it up into increments of 5 or 10 to
Yeah.
get to 100, or however it plays out into your cycling. And if you're using two double under or two dumbbells, I would say it should be something you can at least do 10 with.
Yeah.
Because the thing with two dumbbells is, once it starts to fatigue, and then you have to start using a little bit of body English, when it gets too heavy, it just hits differently than using only one arm at a time. Um, Push-ups. The push-up is kind of the villain of the Murph story, for the workout portion, I feel, for most people, because once they fatigue, it really starts to get grindy. So for the push-ups, we could do them off the knees. We could do them to a box. Any other thoughts on modifying push-ups?
Yeah. Just the number. Just if you got to cut the push-ups in half as well, I think I think 100 is where a lot of people start to really, when you're doing sets of one or sets of two, that's really what drags the workout on that second 100 for the push-up. So if
Yep.
you scale it down to 150, 100, I think that'll really save you a lot of time without even
Yeah.
scaling the rest of the movements. I think just knocking down the push-up volume will save you so much time.
I think it's a fascinating thing how time flies and then also adds up in the rest breaks and then the transitions between movements, especially, if you're partitioning the workout, which we're going to talk about some options here soon. Every time you put your knee down, the clock is ticking. And if you're not timing your rest specifically, like, you could easily be like, all right, I'm going to hit 5 push-ups, look at the clock, I'm going to rest, even let's say it's 5 seconds, rest 5 seconds, hit another five. At least that's consistent. What happens is that might be the reality just naturally in the beginning. Then it's all of a sudden, it's like you hit 3 push-ups, and you're there, and 20 seconds has gone by, and it doesn't feel like it was that much, but you get back at it, then you hit 2 push-ups, and then 15 seconds goes by, and they're just all different times. And
Yeah.
that 20, or no, excuse me, 10 push-ups took you a minute or more. That's a long time in this grand scheme of the workout, considering if you're doing Cindy, if to get, what is it, how many rounds of Cindy do you need to get to the
20,
total?
I
20.
believe.
So
Yeah.
20 rounds, that's around a minute. And that's a hard effort. That's not easy to do for most people. So now you're taking a minute on just one station. No wonder the workout's taking closer to an hour. And
Right.
you're thinking to yourself, where did time go? It's all the times resting in between and not being consistent with your rest periods.
Yeah.
So yeah, push-ups off the knees. You could do segmented push-ups. The I've been trying to get people away from segmented push-ups just because they are slower than the average bear push-up. And
Mm.
on a workout like this, I would be worried that they would start to just turn into worming push-ups
Yep.
and lose that rigidness. So I think doing them just right off the knees to a box, okay to get the box in for the push-ups because they're not under the pull-up bars. They can be just out into the room. Or what do you think about the foam roller option for a quicker variation on being able to do, like, maintain sets of five a little more?
Yeah, that's something newer to me, I would say, that I've been observing other people do within class, and it seems to really be beneficial to them. So again,
Yeah.
that's not, it doesn't take up too much space. It helps them keep better form. Yeah.
Yeah, you put the foam roller across your thighs, and you're essentially acting, like you're teeter-tottering up and down, but it's you're just using the foam roller as a pivot point, and since you can do more reps in a row like that with that little bit of assistance, having your lower body maintained by the foam roller, you can do those bigger sets. And everyone I've asked that's been like trying it, they're like, it started off feeling easy, but then when the rounds kept going by and I was resting less and I was doing more reps in a row, I really started to feel my arm muscles and my chest muscles start to light up a lot more in
Yeah.
ways that maybe they wouldn't have felt before, just going off the knees. And when they start to fatigue, they just hike their hips up and the push up is like this
Yeah.
instead of like this. So it's been pretty cool. That was a great scaling option posted one time on Cap. I believe that was when I don't know if he did the programming or if he was just doing the videos. Kevin Ogar was
Mm.
doing some Cap stuff, and he presented that as an option, and it's worked out really good for getting people to keep the cycle time of their push-ups
Yeah.
fast. So I think Murph is a great workout to do that. And if the foam roller is on your thighs, you're loosening up those quads,
Yeah.
every time you go to do the push-ups. So it's got to have a little bit of a bonus there. I would say if someone is, for some reason, unable to do push-ups, sit-ups is also another option. And I know sit-ups is not part of the Murph workout, but I typically present it to people where they could have the push-ups, but do 100 on the push-ups and 100 on the sit-ups and alternate round around or the movements. There are some people that push-ups in any amount, 50 push-ups is going to be debilitating for a long time.
Yeah.
And some people just don't want to have to have that obstacle in their life when they're trying to work, or maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a mechanic, and you're like, I need to be able to walk for my job, or something. So we need to keep that in mind too. So I think having sit-ups there as an outlier option to replace any movement that we can't do for some specific reason to the person is not a bad idea either.
Yeah.
How about air squats?
Immediately, what comes to mind is squatting to a target. So, like using a wall ball or even like figure out a ballistic block or a certain box height. Um, yeah, finding a target just to one, to keep it consistent for yourself, and two, if you gotta raise that height a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think that's key. The what you said there, consistency. The Everybody starts off going below parallel for the most part at the beginning of the workout, and then there's a turn, and you want to go below parallel, but I don't know, you can tell me, like, is it on purpose or is it's probably more subconscious on you're making the workout easier by stopping it short. Like I can see I'll watch you do, not that you've done this, I'm just using you as an example. Miguel is innocent.
Yeah.
But let's say we're doing an air squat workout during the practice. Miguel is his hips are down to his heels, like he's well below parallel. On the practice rounds, well below parallel. The workout starts, first couple rounds, we're achieving the range of motion stimulus. But then as we get deeper into the workout, it gets a little higher, a little higher. Is that, I mean, I think it's you're making it easier for yourself, and you have to just go that extra bit.
Yeah, and maybe it's I think at least for me, I think air squats are so rhythm dependent. And I think like for me, I have no problem. It's better for me to go all the way to the bottom and kind of get a bounce up, but that's the rhythm that I'm more accustomed to. I think as the workout goes on and maybe you're overall moving a little bit slower, you're still trying to hit the same timing that you were before. So maybe you're not getting down as fast. So when you're thinking, all right, it's time to stand, where in the earlier rounds, maybe you were already at the bottom, as time goes on and you're moving a little bit slower, now you're a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Now you're at parallel, but you're moving slower, so you think that that rhythm is the same, and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, having a target, like you said, a wall ball, a box, keeps you consistent and honest with it, right? And it ensures that you're going to get the most out of the air squat that you can for that day. Like the air squat, it should never be a throwaway exercise. It's like you can really maximize it to get a lot of fitness and development in your joints and your muscles if you do it the right way. And sometimes it means just going a little bit lower and maybe just reducing the volume too. 300 air squats is a big ask. It's a lot of air squats. It's no joke. The quad pump during the workout will be very real, at least for Mike Mickery, and
yeah.
then the soreness will be even realer in the days to come, and that's where proper recovery will be important as well. I think lunging is okay too. Sometimes some people for whatever reason, maybe they would have better success and feel those muscles working with a lunge, because your hips move differently versus having them move at the same time, getting depth and doing it that way. 300 lunges, a lot of lunges. Lunges do hit in their own special way, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And of course, in any of these exercises, if there's you should bring to the coaching staff, whether it be at our gym or if you're listening out there in the world, you're at your gym, let them know about any aches or pains and stuff that's going on, and they'll help you modify to an appropriate exercise. I think that's it for there's one more way to scale, Miguel. We talked about reducing the reps, and you could have different, overall totals, right? It's 100, 200, 300. So you could easily go 50, 100, 150, just as an
Right.
example. That's still a lot. That's still if you pair that with any amount of running, 8 minutes of running before and after, that's a lot. I believe that's the half Murph. Yeah, that's half a Murph.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with a half a Murph, and that can be modified even further from there. Maybe you do 35, 75, 105, just as an example. But another fun way to scale the whole workout is teaming up with someone, a partner Murph. So maybe it's you and two or three other people, and you're gonna for 10 minutes do 200 intervals or 100 intervals, switching off every now and then, add a high five or a fist bump on the transitions. Or you could just all run together and talk, have a good time. And then when you get back into the gym, whether it be the full number of Murph or whatnot, you go, I rest, and he rests, and then he goes. And then we just keep going through there. And now you have built-in rest with it, and you pick a total that you're going to get to, and then all three of you go off and go running again. And if you're going to do pull-ups, I'm going to do ring rows, and Mike's going to do bent over rows, it all still works. It's just you're going to do it partner style. And it could even be in that middle chunk, you're literally going to do Cindy. Hey, we're going to do partner Cindy. We're going for 20 minutes. If we hit 20 rounds, we're off on the run. If not, at 20 minutes, we stop and we're off on the run. And you just kind of give yourself that 20 minutes to work. You worked for 10, let's say 10 minutes on the first run part. You run for 10 minutes, however far you get. That's a 40-minute workout right there with one or two other partners. And that's still a lot of work. And you can enjoy your Memorial Day after and have hot dogs and hamburgers and
Right.
beers. You don't have to be like dead at your Memorial Day party. And they're
Yeah.
like, what happened to you? And you're like, yeah, CrossFit. And now everyone at the party's afraid to try CrossFit.
Yeah.
I've never done partner Murph, but I feel like it would be fun.
I invited a couple friends a few years ago now, and they did it in a partner style, and that
Very
worked out
cool.
well for them. Yeah.
Are they still your friends
Yeah, they are. So I guess that,
after that? All right.
yeah, it worked out well.
All right, cool, cool. Fair question, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about scaling, partitioning the reps. There are some options, and we've talked about it a lot so far. Cindy style. Cindy is a classic benchmark workout, 20 rounds, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. And this is Cindy style because typically Cindy would be a 20-minute AMRAP trying to get as many rounds and reps as possible in 20 minutes. Here, if we want to hit those totals of 100, 200, 300, we would have to do 20 rounds. And right from here, you could scale the volume by doing 15 rounds. You could do 10 rounds. You could do 8 rounds, even 5 rounds. You're still just going to do it in this order where it's 5, 10, 15, because as you cycle through, you at least get to get, for the most part, the working muscle groups a little bit of rest. If you're doing 100 pull-ups in a row, even if you're breaking them up into sets of 10 or however many, that's still going to be just hammering away at the same muscle group responsible for the pull-ups. Then when you go to do the push-ups, your chest and triceps are just going to get hammered all in a row for 200 push-ups. And then finally, your legs just get, have to just do all the work by themselves with 300 air squats. So now you get to kind of like do 15 air squats, let your legs rest a little bit, and move on to the other two. Doesn't mean those muscles aren't engaged and still working to some capacity, but it does get you a little bit of recovery time for those things going on internally. So I think Cindy style is simplest. It's possibly the most popular one way to modify this workout. And we could even change the reps in there too. So again, if we're reducing the volume, maybe you did 4, 8, 12, 3, 6, 9. There's no wrong answer here. It's just what do we need to do on a day? If you do 3, 6, 9, then you're gonna do, what is that? That's three. I gotta do math real quick. That's 60 pull-ups, and then that's 90 push-ups, and then that's, what did I say? 3, 6, 9. 9 times 20 is, Miguel.
180.
Bam, 180. My brain can't work that fast. So that's still a lot of work, right? And see how we just scaled it right there. And then maybe you're doing ring rows and box push-ups, and you're doing, squats to a box. That's still a fantastic workout. And for people who are bringing guests who have no CrossFit experience, that might be what they need to do, and they're gonna feel it. Then there's push-up saver. I feel like these last two are, for people who have maybe done the workout in the past and have a little more experience. I do think that Cindy style is just sweet and simple and appropriate for all, especially if this is your first Murph. With these other methods here, especially the push-up saver, the issue with the push-up saver becomes, if this is your first go around, or maybe you're just a little slower in general, or new, it adds transition time. And we've already talked about how that can really eat up your, or blow up your overall working time. Um, so that is one of the downsides of the push-up saver. You could easily, though, have it be 5 push-ups, 5 pull-ups, or ring rows, whatever it is, 5 sit-ups, 15 air squats. Remember, we can insert sit-ups in here if we need to. And that's been pretty popular in recent years. And this is so that we don't overly fatigue the chest muscles, because as Miguel and I have already talked about, the push-ups is kind of the villain once you get going into this thing on. They fatigue so quickly, and a lot of people, those knees are going to be hitting the floor, just shaking out the arms. This is one way to save that a little bit. With the leg saver, you would do 15 rounds, 5, 10, 20 of pull-ups, push-ups, air squats. You're front loading the air squats so that you'll hit 300 before you reach the total on the pull-ups and the push-ups. And then you'll finish the final 5 rounds doing only pull-ups and push-ups. So your legs are fresher when it's time to go for that last 1 mile run. Both are great options. Miguel, what are your thoughts on the different partitions and who should do what?
Yeah, my first year ever doing Murph, I actually did the leg saver. I think maybe even first 2 years I did the leg saver. And that is great because that last mile, sometimes you're shocked at how slow your legs move. I will say it's a lot to keep track of because if you're going 20 rounds, the Cindy style, everything, all the reps are the same each round, you can kind of just
Just
wipe
count to 20.
right and get those tick marks on there or off if you're wiping them away. With a leg saver, you do have to be careful of, okay, it's 15 rounds. Now I'm doing something else for the next five because I've done the leg saver and I've done the 15 rounds, moved on, and maybe I do one round of just the pull-ups and push-ups, and then the next round I forget and I do squats again.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, it's switching it up is a little bit, you just got to be careful and keep track of what you're doing. The push-up saver I've done more recently, and yeah, that's really just you have to be careful with the transitions. If you're the type of person who can do the push-ups, jump right up and do the pull-ups, drop right down and do the push-ups right where you dropped,
Great option
then
then.
that works well. Um, but the push-up volume is still there. And if you get killed by the push-ups later on, five, and then if you're quick with pull-ups, it's almost as if they're not there. So you are still doing the same volume with push-ups, even if you are separating them. You give yourself a little bit more rest. When they're gone, they're kind of gone. So still be careful. Maybe instead of that, still scaling down the amount for the push-ups might be the better option there.
I'm glad you mentioned hitting the pull-ups, going down under the pull-up bar, hitting the push-ups, and then doing the push-ups, going up, hitting the pull-ups, then doing the push-ups right under the pull-up bar. That's tight transition time right there. If you're on our outdoor rig and you do 5 push-ups on the pavement, walk over to your pull-up bar, do 5 pull-ups, and maybe even you're in a situation of it's a 3 and 2 situation. They're not unbroken. Then you walk back over to the pavement and do 5 more push-ups. This is going to take forever. Like like someone else in that time of you going back and forth who's going to stay under the pull-up bar and even just do it Cindy style might be a round and a half ahead of you, at that point because of all the walking back and forth.
Right.
I think sometimes people don't like to do push-ups in the grass and stuff. If that's the case, you should do it inside. I know it's fun to do it outside, but look, like you're gonna add so much time by going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then if your goal is, because we do have people whose goal is to try to improve from last year, this might be why. Like it might not have anything to do with you needed to get better at push-ups, pull-ups, air squats. We would hope that that happened organically over the course of the year because we do them frequently in class. So it sometimes it does come down to picking the right option and being efficient with your transitions. Because I've seen people do that where I'm like, you're doing a lot of walking mid workout here. I've done that before. And you know what I like to do with the walking? The walking is nice because I get to rest a lot during the
Yeah.
walking. And but you know what it probably means? I shouldn't be doing 20 rounds.
Yeah.
I should do 10 rounds. And then the walking's okay because it's still going to take me 25 minutes. There historically has been another option. We're not presenting the 33 round option because that the one time I have done that one, Miguel, it took way longer than any other Murph that I've done before, even trying my hardest to keep the transition time, tight. Like my
Yeah.
ball for my squats was right next to the rings and everything. It took so long. And then mentally, I was like, I'm on round 18 and I have to go to 33. And then I still have that one hang off reps that you have to remember to do,
Yeah.
you know? I was talking to Murph about it, Jason Murphy, not, you know, the, and we were like, yeah, it's not the best option. Any other thoughts on partitioning?
Yeah. They also did one year that they did it at the games. I believe it was 5 rounds, and it was, I believe, 540 or 5 rounds of 20, 40, 60.
Hmm.
Um, so if you're a person who doesn't have as much of a push-up volume issue, uh, well, a volume issue overall with any of those movements, then that could also be an option, and that minimizes your transition times as well. that would work for me pull up wise. But again, the push-ups would certainly get me there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but if you don't have that bottleneck of the push-ups and you want to minimize your transition times as well without going to full unpartitioned Murph, then I think that's a good option as well.
Yeah. It should be noted that the the original workout and a lot of people will do Murph unpartitioned. They're going to do the mile, then they're going to do all 100 pull-ups, all 200 push-ups, then all 300 air squats, and then finish with the mile. I would say you should have a couple Murphs under your belt and again have that capability to do those movements RX before you ever try unpartitioned or yeah, unpartitioned Murph. You have to have the capacity to do sets of 10 plus on the pull-ups. On the push-ups, you should be able to have the capacity on any random workout to do 15 to 20 in a row. Like, are your push-ups that solid? Cool, then maybe we'll try this. And then on the air squats, I would say the 300 air squats is like a mental endurance
Yeah.
right in the middle of almost like it's almost like the mental thing of like the long run. Like you'll do 300 air squats and like that's just mentally hard. And then you have to go do the last 1 mile run. And that last 1 mile run will definitely not feel like the first one after doing 300 squats in a row.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, the vest back in the equation, too. So it's like you should have a solid base of gymnastics capacity and endurance and fitness before you ever try that. And we will have some people who do that and they're ready for it. Well, again, we keep using Mike as an example. I believe Mike's gonna go unpartitioned this year. And a workout a couple weeks ago, he did 50 push-ups in like 30 seconds, flying through them. Then he did 40 push-ups, and then the push-ups went away for the remainder of the workout. But hey, it was full send right off the bat. And I don't think he'll pace it that way for Murph, but I think it's well known in our gym what Mike can do with those gymnastics movements. It's like that's where you should be more towards that end. Or think about Shy. Shy has very, very strong, solid pull-ups and push-ups. So if Shy was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go on partitioned," I'd be like, "Okay, cool. What was your time last time? What are we trying to beat? What's how are you gonna break up the reps?" It's a different conversation. Do you think there's ever an argument for doing unpartitioned but with scaled movements? Like I'm going to do 100 ring rows, 200 box push-ups, and then tackle those air squats?
I think so. I think that's a fun way to do it if you don't necessarily have the quote unquote skills of like pull-ups, but you know that you can do a high volume of ring rows. Um, yeah, I know that some people when they scale, they might feel that they're kind of just flying through everything, but they're still not at the step where they can get up on the bar and do a certain number of pull-ups. So if you want to make it a little bit more difficult for yourself, and yeah, I think that's a time where you'll really have to push through because it's really just a volume thing. I think that would be an interesting thing to go for.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I'm gonna, put out there to the group on that day. That's more of like an individual conversation. I think it's a fun challenge because maybe you've done a couple Murphs, right? So how many years in a row do you want to do Cindy style or something like that? Maybe one way to challenge your capacity, take like Nicole or Abby for an example, right? They're working on their pull-ups, but their engines, their work capacity is really, really high. So maybe an interesting challenge for someone like that who has done Murph a bunch of times, they're still working on pull-ups, they're not going to do pull-ups that day, is to try a scaled unpartitioned, and that doesn't even have to be the full reps, right? Maybe the first time you do it, it's half Murph unpartitioned. You're going to do 50 ring rows, 100 push-ups, 150 squats or 200 squats, maybe even, and then go for the last run.
Yeah.
I think that's still north of a 10 plus minute workout for a lot of people. Um, but yeah, you could just manipulate the reps and try something challenging. Maybe it's 75 ring rows. It doesn't have to be fixed to those numbers. There's other fun ways we can do it. If it's your first, Murph, you're new to CrossFit, you're a guest, so you're one of Miguel's friends. Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That might not be the best. Heck, even a partner unpartitioned. Like if you're partnering up anyways, like, hey, we're gonna tackle all the ring rows right now. Then we're
Yeah.
gonna tackle all the push-ups. That sounds fun too. Synchro air squats right there at the end. So yeah, just something I've been like mulling over. Like we don't want to be too rigid with everything because
Yeah.
not everybody fits into those things. The programming and the scaling and like these are guidelines. Like we have to figure out where each person kind of fits in. Any memorable experiences with for yourself with Murph?
I would say that first year. Um, because I think, yeah, 2017, I started in late February. So I'd only been doing CrossFit for a couple months, and then for it to be pouring rain and all of us still doing this workout was something. Definitely like an early impression of what CrossFit was kind of all about.
What month did you join?
February, I think towards the end, maybe like one of the last weeks is when I finished on ramp.
Okay. What a magical time to start CrossFit where you're joining during or just before the open and then
Right.
rolling right into Memorial Day Murph. Like, and then of course summer and you're working out outside, which a lot of people don't have experience working out outside. Like that's a really cool time to start.
Yeah.
Cool. I would say my first experience with Murph was 2011. I didn't do it that day. That's I was like I had just started interning and I had not done cross before and it was honestly the reason I didn't do it is because I didn't think I could run the miles and I don't remember a lot of scaling being I remember it was looser than what it was.
Mm.
Like we have way more like this is what you can do to scale all these things. So like I didn't even understand how to modify it for other people yet, let alone like for to do it for me or grabbing a rower was an option. So I just kind of helped out that day. I do remember at the beginning before we did it, everybody got around and one of the veterans at the gym at the time gave a speech with talking about some things with the military and the army and Michael Murphy and that was really really cool. And there were guys there dressed in full gear with the army boots and their vest and the helmets and everything. And they did the run and the whole workout in that
Yeah.
stuff. I've also seen guys in full firefighter gear do Murph before, and that's really cool to see. I do have a memory of you doing it during the Captain America year where we had the Captain America shirt and you were right by the door. And I would say that's top three most miserable I've ever seen you in a workout. You were on the push-ups and you were having a time on the push-ups. And I remember I asked you, I said, what round are you on? And you looked at me and your eyes were glassed over. And I don't even know if you gave me an answer. I just moved. I was like, oh, Miguel's having it right now, and I just moved on. I let you keep doing what you were doing. But for me personally, I've done it so many ways. Like I said, pull-ups, ring rows, bike, rower, running in my apartment here during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's 72 trips down the hall and back to get a mile. I know this too well. And my downstairs neighbors probably also know it because I'm heavy-footed when I run. So it's just it's always a workout that brings you back to CrossFit. Maybe there's times where I've taken CrossFit off or like I'm doing weightlifting, but you always do Murph.
You're right.
That's a cool thing about it. You always come back home for Murph. Well, let's wrap up on a little bit of advice for Murph. I would say to anyone listening this far, and especially from our gym. over the weekend, because this is a Friday. I'm going to try to put this out on Friday, before the weekend before Murph. Hydrate and maybe even consider, putting in some electrolyte packets like Element into your water and pay attention to that. And I know it's a party weekend. Alcohol does not mix well with your whatever your plans are for Murph. So if you are someone who you're like, I really want to improve in this workout, whatnot, maybe save the beers for after. Big ask, I know. I know. I'm asking for the world right now, but hey, it's your goal, not mine. I'm just telling you, that if it could negatively affect your performance, and we have seen that in the past. I would make sure you're fueling over the weekend, eating normally, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The day of Murph, don't change anything. Now it's not the time to add in goo packets or something that isn't battle tested in normal CrossFit workouts. Now's probably not the time to try a new pair of shoes. And then I would say just keep up with the flexibility things that you need to work on. If your calves are always stiff or your feet hurt, roll them out, and ask for help. If you're like, hey, I need something to do over the weekend to help me feel good, just message any of the coaches. We'll set you up. So that'd be my advice. More of like what intentionally drinking and watching what you're drinking would be the top of it, and asking for help. How about for you, Miguel?
Yeah, I would say have fun. I know that's like cliche, but like I more mean it and try not to be miserable during the workout.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
That could easily happen, right? Like if you're someone who's like all OCD about it and you're like, I got a PR Murph. Murph is about me, even though they said it shouldn't be.
yeah,
And then you see your mile time is off, and now like that just ruins your whole day. And then you don't PR Murph at the end, and that ruins your day. And you're just like having a pity party the whole, during the barbecue and stuff, which no one cares about. Sorry. Um, then yeah, don't do that to yourself. It's not fun for anybody.
yeah, and it can be hard, especially when you're chipping through your rounds and you see more and more people start to go out towards the run. Just, go as best as you can and stick to your plan if the plan is going as it should be. Um, but yeah, stick with it. Try not to get too down on yourself while you're going through the workout. And yeah, we'll all get done and we'll have some fun afterwards as well.
Yeah, we'll have some games out there. Was it cornhole where you throw the beanbag, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, we'll have some stuff. We'll have great food. Murph's going to be making some great casserole and cornbread and other fruit salad, other dishes like that. We have barbecue coming in from a company that we've been talking to called Just Meats. They've been like promoting themselves everywhere. So they actually are sending us 40 pounds of meat for the event. Very nice of them. And we'll try it out. Hope it's good. So
yeah,
and yeah, just have fun. Just it's a great day. It's a great day to honor great people and to spend time with people that you enjoy to be around, hopefully. And then that's just the start of your day, like think about that. Like by 11:30, you've already gotten the hardest part of your day, hopefully, I hope so, out of the way, and then you've got other family gatherings, and or maybe you're just going to mow your lawn and chill in your house.
yeah.
However you want to spend it, it's all good. Awesome. Well, Miguel, any closing thoughts on the holiday? I know we're kind of skirting around it.
Um, no, I think we've pretty much covered it,
I think
everything that
so.
I feel. Yeah.
I'm looking through my notes. Yeah, we did it. Success. Cool. Well, Albany CrossFit, Monday, May 27th, 9 a.m. I'll be there. Miguel will be there. You should be there. If you if you're if you're in town and you want to do Murph, you can drop in, reach out to us ahead of time. There's no limit to the class cap. So it's gonna be two rooms going at the same time outside. We'll have music in all of them. We'll have all the different ways to modify. We'll meet at the whiteboard. We'll talk about it. We'll warm up. and we're going to keep our tradition of Miguel leading everybody on the warm-up run, just like we've done in previous years. And actually, this is the first time he's hearing about it this year, so now he knows. So that'll be great. Bring your family, bring your friends. Everybody is welcome to do it. We can have a great day. One of my favorite things about Murph too is when people come with their babies and they push the stroller
Yeah.
for the 1 mile run. Has anyone ran with a dog before? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a good question.
I don't think I personally have ever seen that. Someone running with a dog on a leash, you
Yeah.
know, that would be cool. Maybe that's you this year. Who knows? Uh, there will be at least one dog there, Roscoe. I'm not sure if others will show up, but yeah, it's gonna be a great day. I really hope we have good weather. I'm gonna be putting that energy out there into the universe. Good weather, good weather. Not too hot, not too cold. Just we
Yeah.
need just right. Great. Well, Miguel, where can people follow you?
Yeah. Same place on Instagram at couldn't be Miguel. That's
Perfect.
me.
Couldn't be. Follow Albany CrossFit on Instagram, Facebook, albanycrossfit.com. Follow Albany CrossFit Barbell Club on Instagram. Follow me if you want to, James A. McDermott. And we will either see you on Memorial Day, and if we don't, we hope you have a great holiday. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.